Good morning, 6:30, October 9th. Looking like it's a really chilly morning, but it's gonna be definitely a yo-yo day because it's going from 30 to about almost 60 today. So it's gonna be quite a bit of a warm up once that sun comes out. We even have a high of 70 tomorrow potentially. So it must be October because the weather changes rapidly. Starting off this morning's presentation, this thing on COVID. Here's the latest and greatest Health Vermont kind of updates on coronavirus in our region. As you can see in this middle chart here, we have 31 cases, new cases in Chittenden County and 28 in Addison County. So those two counties are looking where we're seeing the most kind of activity in our region. The most up-to-date travel restrictions. This loads up real quick. Well, there hasn't been a whole lot of new changes on Tuesday. Here's the map as it's loading up kind of slow. We'll kind of move it over, but for the most part, just again, regarding any leisurely travel coming up, just please let your supervisor know so we are well coordinated and we can at least have a quick discussion on expectations. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Ben McKinney. Ben McKinney will be presenting today on a very important topic that has a lot of exposure, and it definitely highlights that one of the main focus for hazards that we have in construction is that struck by hazard.
Thanks, Matt. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Great. So today's code of conduct item, or this week's, is speak and act supportively of ECI as a company and of our workers. Safety news, 66 days without a recordable injury. Got about 100 and, let's see, 30, 60, 80. So we got about 80 left in the year. It'd be great to get way up into the triple digits going into 2021. Let's keep at it. Today we're going to talk about bucket loader safety. So loader facts at ECI. We own 16 bucket loaders. They range in operating weight from 12,000 to 38,000 pounds. On the small end for a 304 and up into the larger end at a 644. Loaders are our fastest moving pieces of heavy equipment. So the safety risks primarily are falls, as in an operator fall, entering and exiting the machine, actual tip over of the machine, and struck by, or maybe a caught in between type incident between the loader and other equipment or personnel on the ground. Inexperienced and unqualified employees often feel comfortable operating loaders more so than other equipment for some reason, and that can add to these risks. Falls. Entry and exit from a loader can be dangerous due to the height. That top platform in front of the door on a 624J, that's 5'6" off the ground. So that's really high compared to most of our equipment and just compared to anything. You know, for reference, when we're working just a little higher than that, we're required to tie off. So you can see where you could get really hurt from a fall from that top step. And actually one of our worst injuries over the last several years was just that. And the door handle mounts to the tempered glass of the door, and that's what happened in this instance. And that can fail. It shouldn't, and it's unlikely, but it can obviously happen. So the safety measures to take are to always maintain 3 points of contact when entering and exiting the machine. Don't solely trust that handle on the glass. Always dismount facing the machine, and don't jump. Even the bottom step is nearly 2 feet off the ground. So make sure you have good purchase with that bottom foot before you just send it. Tip over. Loaders have a very large lift capacity for their weight. These are really big machines, but again, 38,000 pounds in our world isn't all that heavy, but volume-wise, they take up a ton of room. They're really tall, they're long, and they've got an impressive lift capacity, given that relatively low weight. So what happens is when we take that big load in the bucket or maybe on the forks and we lift it up, it takes the center of gravity of the whole machine and it brings that up. So you have the ability to create a very high center of gravity with a loader. And also because they articulate when you turn and you take that big load, you might have a 10,000 pound bucket just of dirt. It's going to take that center of gravity and it's going to move it from right in between the four wheels. It's going to move it out. And that can make a tip over happen very quickly compared to then when you were straight up and down or straight front to back and with that load lower. Also has pneumatic tires as opposed to tracks or even a loaded tire. These are softer and there's maintenance issues just as far as inflation. And so that can lead to instability as well. So the safety measures, do not lift higher than necessary. If you're loading a truck and for some reason he can't get near the pile, don't drive across the parking lot with the load in the air for lots of reasons, but stability is one of them. Use caution when turning with a load in the air. If you need to turn, better to keep that bucket close to the ground. If you have a soft tire, especially on the front, but really any of the four, you need to get it serviced immediately. This is something we can typically do in the field if we have a compressor and the right fittings. You don't necessarily need to call Marshall. It doesn't have to cause a lot of downtime. So if you don't have the parts and pieces, just reach out to Larry. We don't want to operate these things with soft tires. And don't lift heavy loads on soft or uneven terrain. A loader which might be very planted in a parking lot, everything can change a lot with just a little bit of soft ground conditions and a little bit of unevenness. Struck by is a big one for loaders. And these pictures here are an incident that happened this year. So you've got a blind spot in the front. If you ever try to get a pallet with a bucket loader, you know that it can be hard to see what your forks are doing because of that rack. And so using a spotter is really important for that. When we're running on the road, we may not have so much of a blind spot, but we may be moving fast. We may be moving too fast. And we may have that forks or a bucket, way out in front of us. And that can pose a real risk to other motorists, as we see here. And loaders are fast. They can go, most of our big ones can go 20 to 24 miles per hour. And although the brakes are pretty good, it's important to have really good control. Some of the loaders with or without ride control, especially with forks, can get kind of bouncy. There's no need to go 24 if you can't do it safely. So the safety measures we need to take are travel with the forks close to the ground. I don't think a foot off the ground is too low, really. And if it's bouncing so much that you think they might scrape, slow down. Use a spotter and check your blind spot. So if you're having a hard time, doing a lower speed thing, get a spotter when you're backing or trying to fork into something. And remember, goal, GOAL, get out and look. That's really relevant here too. So we have struck bys with the potential for vehicles and other equipment. And that's illustrated in somewhat dramatic fashion here.
Oh boy.
I don't really know what was going on there. But obviously not good. And then a different kind of struck by, maybe even a little more dramatic because you can see how it could happen. I'm not sure how that last slide even occurred completely head on like that. Here's an incident where for some reason this person is where they should not be and the loader operator doesn't see him because of that blind spot. Couldn't see her because of the bucket, and he goes in and grabs a scoop of sand and she's in there, and I don't know what they're loading, maybe a screen. There she is in the bucket and he puts her in the screen. She's fine. You can see later in the video, I don't know if she's fine, but she lived. You can see later in the video, she crawls out of the sand. But just a couple of dramatic illustrations there of what a struck by can look like. Another incident we had this year was kind of due to that blind spot. We're just handling material and the operator couldn't really see what was going on right at the cutting edge of the bucket. and he pulled forward a little bit and hit a rail, and that rail flopped over and it caught somebody's foot in between. That's probably a combination between, that blind spot induced struck by, and also that's an incident where the person had hopped in the machine and just decided to start running it. Highlighting the point that we really need to have, qualifications and permission from the supervisor before we operate this equipment. So we'd be remiss not to mention maintenance. Remember, keep those tires inflated, check oil, just like anything else, grease. I think we see a lot of people that are maybe better about checking oil and greasing excavators, and loaders sometimes get neglected. They need it just like everything else. And warm up, cool down, plug it in the winter. And we sent out a maintenance and operating tips via email as well. That's all I got. Ken, you want to take it from here?
Sure will. Okay, thank you, Ben. Yeah, I think I especially think that one of the challenges that is underappreciated. We can all appreciate the blind spots and everything, but until you're really into it and driving around a sharp corner with traffic around you, that's when you realize how much how responsive or over responsive the loader is when you're making a sharp turn like that, especially at a higher speed. Let's see, I'm gonna pull up my screen. All right, do you guys see that?
We do, Ken.
Okay. So I had I didn't update this safety focus of the week. As you can see, there's quite a different change in the format of the email. I struggled a little bit yesterday getting all this together because it meant an entirely new email. Normally I just work from the previous week, and it's an easy adjustment to change the topics and everything. And this was quite a different situation for this week, but I got it together. It's a little bit different. It does look kind of nice. I think the format looks nice. But anyway, going on to announcements, nothing new around here. We're still looking at cold weather and, start treating your fuel, winter ice pumps. And then the transfer tank item here is, and equipment hour logs, again, is something we want to keep on. And we had Carter give us that presentation last week on how to do it on Teams. So if you don't know, if you didn't catch that, or if you didn't quite get how to do that on Teams, check with Carter or Matt, or maybe someone else is actually using that already. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I got a pink ribbon here to express my awareness of it. And I have a message here from Sarah Wallen, and I'll read it here on her behalf. So she wants us to know that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and she says, I would ask all of you to please encourage your loved ones to get checked out if they don't already. And 1 in 10 women have breast cancer, and a common misunderstanding is that it is hereditary. It is not. Cancer does not run in Sarah's family, and she still got it. So she really wants to, emphasize that getting tested is extremely important. She said, I'd also would like to thank everyone at ECI for all the support you guys have given her for the last 9 months. And she says, I feel so loved by everybody, and I couldn't have survived this all without you. I can now call myself a survivor, she says, and much love by Sarah is this message. And also I want to kind of further comment that today is Sarah's last radiation treatment. So she's pretty excited about that. She'll be in, I think, later this morning. So if everyone sees her, or if you're around, just swing through and wear your pink ribbon or pink hard hat, whatever you got. So good. Well, congratulations, Sarah. We wish you the best and continued health. And also, the next announcement is on the flu shot clinic, which is next week, the 16th Friday. So it'll be in the morning, 8 o'clock to 10. So if you're through the office at that time or the shop, there'll be a tent set up in the grass area. Clinic will be from 8 to 10, like I said, and attached this live link here in the middle is a flu shot health questionnaire. I haven't tested live links now with this new format, so if there's a problem, let me know. And also, please maintain 6 feet and wear your face covering when you're at this clinic, and also check with Alberta if you have questions. Okay, so here's another thing I missed. This was supposed to be all changed automatically and didn't. We can ignore that 401k reminder. The COVID policies are right there. Again, there's a statement up there that I didn't catch that. I was in a hurry trying to get all this together because of all the effort to get to the new format. I spent a lot of time on this, so hopefully it came out well. This is 251 Main Street house foundation that we did in Burlington, and we're contracted with Hinsdale Properties to replace the foundation of the historic Daniel Barnes house at 251 Main. So we did the site and concrete work. The building was jacked by Messier House Moving and Construction of East Montpelier. The house was constructed around 1853 and required a new foundation basement to replace the failing rubble stone. The house is on the National Historic Register of Historic Places because it is representative of mid-19th century working class homes in Burlington. Daniel Barnes was a carpenter and a joiner. So pretty cool. You can see how it was all jacked up and cribbed up by Messier. We did the excavation around it at this point and removed the old foundation at the point of this photo. And then we formed, did some footings around the perimeter and interior, and then poured wall. It's right on Main Street. It was an awkward looking thing standing up in the sky like that. So then after the walls were installed, I see our guys used a conveyor to get crushed stone in there to do the floor slab, prep for the floor slab. There we go, with a couple column footings in the middle of the building. Not a very large footprint here. And then looks like some sewer or some kind of other utilities going in here, or going out for the sewer, I hope. And just note here that the project attracted a lot of attention. It was featured in a Burlington Free Press article, or more like a photo expose, I'd say, on August 27th. I've given a link, and there's a lot of great pictures of the project and ECI working. And from the photo archives, I dug up this photo from the UVM Johnson House relocation. Let's see, the Johnson House pictured in the middle there is getting pulled by our loaders, only like a TC-44, I think, pulling that huge house. I don't recall, if it was Messier or not working on that. I just don't recall back then. That was 2005. And this was before the Davis Center was constructed. It was all part of that work prior to the Davis Center. And it was located from that north side to the south side of Williston Road. And it was quite an awkward looking thing to have a house jacked up and moving across the road in that case. So that's what I got. I'll turn it back over to you, Matt, and have a good, safe day out there.
Yep, thank you, Ken. And thank you, Ben McKinney, for a very informative topic on truck buy hazards and loader safety. And everybody just continue to be safe and make helpful and safe decisions out there to control our hazards. Have a good day.